Well, hasn't been much to tell this week. I've been doing some food testing stuff. Hurricane Rosa, which I'm sure by now is no longer a hurricane, coming up from the Pacific by way of the Baja and heading straight for Phoenix, has the front edges of it, whatever's left of it, have arrived a few hours ago, and it's been raining. Projections are that the next couple of days we may get a few inches of rain in waves as the broken up spirals of the hurricane, or now tropical storm, or more likely tropical depression, wind their way here. Oh, rain always makes for interesting times in Phoenix. Tuesday morning, and I think the latest projections had the hurricane hitting us, well, not a hurricane anymore, but the center part of the hurricane hits us. That's a charming piece of shit car. This afternoon, so this is still the front edge coming at us, and it's going up and down over a short period of time as to how hard the rain is. Right now it's not too bad, but you can see it's filling stuff up. The storm isn't over, at least not according to the projections. The peak of it, or the center of it, is due in the afternoon today, but it has stopped raining for now. Streets were flooded earlier today. We had flash flood warnings. Good, solid, steady rain. I'm just taking this chance to enjoy the nicer temperatures and lack of rain to go get myself some lunch. I kind of wonder if, will the eye... I assume that when a hurricane, which is no longer a hurricane, tropical depression at best, does it have an eye anymore? I don't think so. I think that's what happens when the eye collapses. So there's probably no calm at the center anymore. Uh-oh. The rain has started. I'm on my way back. And it's not far, but ahead of me it looks a lot wetter than it does behind me. Well, finally! It's only 84 degrees at lunchtime today. It's not going to rain. So this is the first time in a very, very long time that it's time to ride my bike to lunch. I have already planned out my food. I'm not going very far, but get a little bit of active calories on the board. I cleaned the bike a little bit, but it's still really filthy. It has been sitting throughout the entire summer of the dusty dogs in there. So not gonna take a long ride, but I'm gonna, I think, a couple kilometers, maybe 3. Yeah, it might be 3. Yeah, it's almost gotta be. Well, I'll let you know when I'm done, huh? But I'm gonna go up to Bosa Donuts. Yes, donuts for lunch. They make a mean ham on fresh croissant sandwich. It's very good. Oh, weird thing happened on the way over. My watch simply refused to record the GPS coordinates, so it thinks the entire drive was 69 meters, which it was not. Seems to be recording now, so we'll see what the distance is going back home. I've come by Costco to pick up new headphones. My Bose noise-canceling headphones are dying in the right ear. But I'm here too early. I came after the gym, and they're not open yet, so I'm walking around. So I thought I'd sneak around this construction site that they're putting in here, which is the first new construction in years. And it looks like a big restaurant, but there are no signs up. So I happened to pass one of the construction guys, and I asked him if he knew what they were working on. Having worked construction years ago, I know you don't always know what they're building, especially if they're building something to be rented out. So like a speculative space. We're going to build a restaurant and hope somebody rents it. But this one has just enough architectural features to it that I was pretty sure this is a bespoke restaurant. And it is. It's an Olive Garden, which honestly surprises the hell out of me because, well, this is kind of the center of town, or let's say it's the unfashionable center of town. Right, there's downtown, there's the real city district that, of course, was abandoned years ago, and only bums and businesses were there during the weekdays, and that's showing a revival. But 20 years ago, there were quite a lot of restaurants and businesses in this area, and they've all fled to the suburbs, leaving a wasteland. And typically what happens is that as they fled to the wasteland, then the interesting individual restaurants sometimes backfill the area. But, when you want that chain restaurant experience, you have to drive a long way. But now that it's beginning to perk up a bit, it looks like maybe they're thinking about moving back into the area. And this is just the first I can think of within miles. So, yay team. Well, it's actually a lovely morning out here. There's a little bit of water. My backyard is flooded, absolutely flooded this morning. Total surprise too. There was a storm cell moving northeast, basically following the same path as Hurricane Rosa the other day. So from Mexican coast, south of California, northeast across the Baja Peninsula, and then into Arizona. At least that's the direction. And there were, to my knowledge, there were no predictions that it was going to get here at all. And last night, about 3 o'clock, I was awoken by a thunderstorm and heavy rain. And I checked the weather maps, and basically this cell, which was quite strong, was traveling like this, and it would have gone past Phoenix, and then suddenly it just went it shifted over, like maybe it caught a strong crosswind or something. But anyway, and that's why it hit us, and it woke us up this morning. It's gone, but it's left behind a damp and pleasant temperature. Well, the weather continues to hold as very nice. 71 degrees this morning. Actually, it was in the 60s earlier. It's almost 9:30 now. So I'm doing just a little bit of outside work this morning. I've got some maintenance projects to do on the house that I hate. I hate painting. Oh, I hate painting. Hate. Did I say I hate painting? I hate painting. Anyway, that's on the cards for this autumn. But first, I don't know well, it's too late now because I've already started the process, but if you recall, this is the window, and that's the corner of the house that got hit. Well, there used to be these shitty faux shutters on either side, and there's one over here too. And there's also ones on the master bedroom window, front facing. And it's very retro and hideous, and they're all worn out. Anyway, one of them was destroyed, and the other one was still hanging. I just took it down. And I think I'm going to take these down because that's one less thing I have to paint, and I could give no shits. I don't think they add any particular style or look to a house, and they are Well, yeah, they've got them next door, over there, but virtually all of the houses in this neighborhood, which all would have had them, have them no more. So I think it's time that ended. For the last couple of days, I've been trying to get out in the morning and doing, it's a little 2-kilometer circuit around my neighborhood on foot just to start the morning off. This is the earliest I've been out, and that's because I'm rushing to beat Hurricane Sergio, which is remnants thereof passing over Phoenix today. Unfortunately, it has started remnanting on me as we speak, and it's pretty dark over there. So I suspect I'm not going to make it back to the house without getting soaked. That garbage truck behind me has an unusually pungent odor today. He just drove past here, and wow, it's vomit inducing. That's terrible. They usually don't smell like that. I mean, they smell bad, but not like somebody just emptied the sewer into their hopper. I'm pretty sure this is the end of the vlog. I mean, for this episode, not the end of the vlog as a whole, but I'm pretty sure this is the end of the episode. And the reason is, I have no idea if this is a long one or a short one, so if you've been watching for the last 40 minutes, I apologize in advance. It's been a while since I've done one. Honestly, I didn't really feel like there was much going on that was of interest. You probably don't want to hear about my diet, and if you do, you can check out the Lone Locust channel, where I've been, posting some of the diet foods that I've been eating. Anyway, but I've, little bits here and there I've recorded over the last however long it's been, and I don't have any idea of how many of them there are, so I'm gonna put this all together and find out. So I'm just gonna end up with one thing. I have more time on my hands, and my podcast is coming up on 400 episodes, fusionpatrol.com. And there are not as many listeners as I would like. The listener numbers have been going up for years. Let me rephrase that. There are not as many paying listeners. Now, that's not saying that I don't appreciate the listeners, because that's not the way it works. But, with anything like this, you have to have X number to get this number of paying. And it doesn't matter what this number is, whether this number is, 1 million or 10 million or 100 million. It scales. However many there are here, there's still this percentage of it that might be the paying customers. So I need to get those numbers to be 10 million instead of what they are now, which I will not say what they are now. I'm not actually 100% sure because of the way the reporting goes on, but it's not hundreds of thousands by any stretch of the imagination. It's not tens of thousands. So I have been investigating things to do to try to, since I have time, to boost the podcast. There is the podcast itself, of course, but it's the discovery of the right people, and so that might involve some paid ads, and we may do some paid promotion again. We did towards the beginning, and it did help. So I don't know, maybe now it would do some more good. I'm thinking about that. I would like to have a more effective social media presence than we currently do, and that's going to require some discipline. and some planning, and I was looking at social media management tools that companies use to, create posts, schedule posts, have them auto, format and post them to Twitter and Facebook and the appropriate Instagram and wherever you happen to go. And then also have it in one central place where you interact with the responses that you get, regardless of the platform that they came in on, which would be amazing. And because right now I do get, I have a certain number of users who interact on Facebook, and I have a certain number of users who interact on the WordPress site, and I have a certain number of users that interact on Twitter. And if I had all of those, well, it would be better if I had all those users in one place. Because if I had them in one place, then they might start feeding upon one another. Because the show is commentary about science fiction. It is intended to be a discussion. I like it when the users, the listeners, contact me back and have some thoughts on it. I like to discuss it with them. I'd like it even better if they themselves were discussing it amongst themselves. And we did at one point try a forum in the past, and maybe that's a thing to consider again. Although it wasn't terribly successful, because it was still basically the people who like Twitter are on Twitter and the people who like this or that. So I don't know where to go with it. But anyway, back to the social media aggregator. They are expensive. Ridiculously expensive. Some of them are upwards, like for the base level, are $100 a month. Now, I spend about $25 a month on podcast hosting, and I make about $25 a month in Patreon subscriptions. So, the two balance each other out. It's cost neutral, more or less, but it's not. It's certainly not earning me any keep. And then the other thing that comes up is improving your SEO, search engine optimization. There are some things I could do, keywording, and which I do, but perhaps a more logical approach, perhaps more attention to Google Analytics. There are things I could do to the podcast to change that as well. It shouldn't be a surprise. Of course, if you're listening to this and you don't listen to the podcast, you don't know. The podcast, we take one episode of a science fiction TV show and have a discussion about it. It's rather like a book club. We the hosts of that week, watch the episode, and then afterwards we sit down and we talk about it for about an hour. Depending. Some of the shows don't even make it an hour, and sometimes it can go on, depending on whether there are some interesting themes going on in there. And so that it's not the same thing over and over and over again for a week, because TV series, Space 1999 or Blake 7, or these shows went on for 40, 50 episodes. And rather than do a year of Blake 7 or a year of Space 1999, we break it up. So we'll do, right now, we're doing Space 1999, Battlestar Galactica, and A Night Stalker. And those go in rotation every 3 weeks. And now that it's Doctor Who season, we've added Doctor Who in. So we're now running a 4-week rotation at the moment. One of the things I know from Google Analytics, and it chafes my butt, frankly, is that the numbers are not consistent the way I'd like them to be. So when I get a podcast, when I subscribe to a podcast, I subscribe to the podcast. Every caveat there, every new episode is downloaded. Now, I may get into it and go, but every episode is downloaded. So that for them would register as a download, right? my podcatcher is set so that if they upload 3 episodes on the same day, I only get the last one. I only have so much time that I can listen to podcasts. So, you know, but most podcasts come out on a regular schedule, like once a week on a certain day, which is considered to be an important thing with podcasts, apparently, so that people have an expectation of when the next one's coming. I don't know. I would have thought that was gone in the era of Netflix, but apparently not. In any case, my Doctor Who podcasts get twice as many listeners. You know, some shows get, you know, 10-15% more. Other shows, I suppose you could say, get 10-15% less, sometimes 50% more. It just depends. So when you're watching a 3-episode rotation, one a week, every Monday night, every Monday morning, very early in the morning, you know, my listenership numbers vary from week to week, and they're consistent. So Battlestar Galacticas will be getting here, and the Space 1999s will be getting here, and Night Stalkers will be getting here, or whatever it happens, whatever those aren't the real numbers, I'm just making up. But every week they are in those same spots, which would imply that these people are listening to it and going, oh, it's Monday every 3rd week, I'm going to listen to Battlestar Galactica, woo! And then not listening to Space 1999, or not listening to The Night Stalker, or not even downloading it. So they're not using a podcatcher, they're using something else. Maybe they're using a web page, or I don't know. But obviously that is an impediment. Getting them consistent would be better. And I could do that by concentrating entirely on Doctor Who, but that's kind of not the point. And then it would be worse if you picked a show that we want to do that does not pull the numbers that, say, Doctor Who does, so you could go 12, 20 weeks at low numbers. So I don't... Changing the format of the podcast would be the only way to beat that, and I don't want to do that one. I can guarantee this is a long episode of Tedium Unlimited, because I can see what the counter says already, because I'm not even halfway through what I want to say. Ha ha! So, anyway, you know, I pay more attention to analytics. I could tweak things, try to improve the search engines, try to get more people in. Another big way that podcasts apparently are very successful at getting better search engine results is transcripts. So I'm experimenting with transcripts. So I'm going to try to make this as quickly as I possibly can now. Now that we've got to the interesting bit, I'm going to just plow right through it. I'm attempting to use a service called Descript. There is no way that I can take an hour-a-week podcast and transcribe it. And frankly, I can't afford to take an hour-a-week podcast and transcribe it as a pay service, which unfortunately is the only way to get this done, other than doing it yourself. And it ain't going to happen. I mean, that's just that I'm not capable of doing that. But I've run one through, and for the first episode of Doctor Who this year, figuring that's probably going to be a high visibility one. And I've been going through the software, which is very cool software, I have to say.
You applaud you or hit you for at least having the nerve to say, you know, that's essentially the writer saying, I don't know how.
Not only does it allow you to, you know, it transcribes it. It allows you to go in and break up multiple speakers. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it actually allows you to take 2 scripts and run them separately and then merge them, which if it does that, that would be amazing. That's the 3rd time the garbage truck has been here for 2 garbage cans today. I hope this is not Mr. Vomit Toilet Sewer truck, because all the windows in the house are open. That'll just be charming. I think it'll allow you to put 2 scripts and combine them together. So we record our parts separately, and then I merge them in post-production. it would help immensely if I could put, you know, Ben's on this side or Simon's over there and mine, and then run them through it, transcribe it, make any typographical corrections, and then merge the two of them because they're two separate you know, audio files. Right now I'm having to go through it. It does not differentiate speakers. So you have to go through, and every time you hit a new speaker, you have to go boom, okay, here's new speaker, and then you have to, and if we talk over each other, that's a problem. And then I'm gonna make another pass where I have to go through and edit the misdone words. And it is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not perfect. And then I'm going to post that for the Doctor Who episode, and I'm also going probably to do the next one in 2 weeks, and you know, post the transcript with the episode and see if that shows any significant improvement in the Google Analytics. If it does, and if I can translate that into more subscriptions, I might be able to justify the cost to do this long term, because there's a couple of different ways you can do it. There's like there's a 15 cent a minute option, and unfortunately at an hour-long podcast 4 times a week, you know, that's nowhere near justifiable cost, right? But then there's also a $10 a month plan where they drop the price to 7 cents a minute and also eliminate the first 30 minutes each month. So you get 30 minutes free each month, then 7 cents a minute over that at $10 a month. And that would work out to more economical, but it's still not good enough to unless I can see some positive results from it. But I'm hopeful. See what happens. I think I'm gonna bite the bullet and pull one of the other episodes that I've still got the 2 separate audio tracks, and see if I can't burn one of those through and merge them up, if that's a lot less work. So far I've spent about 90 minutes going through the podcast and breaking it up between myself and Ben talking. And I don't know how long yet. Today I'm going to go through it and correct the typographical errors. I don't know how long that's going to take. Anyway, that's it. Wow, 15 minutes just in this segment at the end to tell you I don't know if this is a long episode or not. It's a long episode. Never mind what I said before. There is no chance this is not a pause it, take a bathroom break kind of podcast episode. Hope that Google or YouTube sticks an ad in the middle or something, just so that you have an opportunity to get up and stretch your legs before they seize up, you know, kind of podcast. So I will talk with you like next time, and I promise you I'm not going to put anything more after this. So this is the end. Just roll the music. Go. Well, it's not music, it's that sort of noise. It's really, don't know if you noticed that, but it's the noise from the front played backwards. Yeah, that's what it is.